First, something that's troubled me, and that's the picture of Miley Cyrus, star of kids show Hannah Montana. We're asking if it's kiddie porn or perfectly OK. She's 15, by the way, and as I said earlier, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, she looks all right. But I had no idea of how old she was, or indeed who she was. And when I read the words, the copy, I felt really, really disgusted, actually. And yesterday, Miley apologised to her fans, of course, many of them are very young kids, saying she regretted the nature of the shots. She thought they were going to be artsy. And Vanity Fair, the magazine which commissioned the shoot, denies Cyrus was manipulated. The photographer, Annie Leibovitz, she's the one who took the photos, and she's the woman who tried to boss our Queen around. You remember that? Didn't get very far. She said the photos convey youth and innocence. So what do you think? The first thing that came to my mind was arty photographer Nan Goldin, who's had several run-ins with the police over her pictures of naked kids, pictures that were never posed, they were just children doing what comes naturally. Should say she's never been prosecuted. There was outrage, of course, when Rolling Stone featured Britney Spears, then 17, on a front cover, posing provocatively in her undies, clutching a Teletubby. Only question I was left with was it Tinky Winky?
It was Poe, I think.
La. So, Vanity Fair, I mean, bear in mind the Rolling Stone issue, and it was international outrage, Vanity Fair must have known they were sailing close to the wind. The magazine has a history of courting tabloid newspapers, and the more cynical amongst us might say they were hoping the Cyrus snap would cash in on the paedophile paranoia that floats around the world, getting them loads of publicity into the bargain. So, is it kiddie porn? Is it arty? Eric hit the streets to find out.
No, I don't think it is perfectly acceptable. I've got a 13-year-old daughter, and I really don't want her exposed to that.
She's 15 and it's not right.
I think it's perfectly acceptable, especially if the girl knows what she's doing, because she wants to make money and she's just benefiting from that.
I think on the whole, children that age, I mean, she's basically a child, shouldn't be encouraged to be taking their clothes off in front of the camera.
I do not think it's appropriate, because she's too young.
A 15-year-old dressing like that, it's too suggestive, it gives bad ideas to younger kids. I mean, they're already trying to grow up too quickly.
I think most kids of that age, most girls of that age want to look like that. She's not being too expressive. She's just being a girl.
Interesting film, interesting range of views. Well, I've said my piece. Let's go down the table. Larry.
I think it is completely unacceptable. I think...
On what grounds?
Because I think that on the one hand, we say it is a crime to have sex with a girl in this country under 16. So that is a criminal act. On the other hand, you've got the media, in this case, this magazine, portraying a girl of 15 as sexually provocative, as available.
Is that not our interpretation? Is it not just a photo of a girl with a towel on?
No, because look at the
lipstick
her face.
and everything. That's not innocent.
Everything says sexual. That towel could fall off at any moment. That pose is obviously sexual, and that's why it's attractive, and that's why they put it in the paper, in the magazine, because obviously, as you said, it will cause controversy.
It's fascinating, isn't it? The very papers that have run campaigns against paedophilia run a picture of a 15-year-old girl with their concerns about things as a full page.
Because I think that there's this view of this grey area of around girls of like 14, 15. Well, they're kind of almost legal. No, they are not, and we have to be really clear that we have to protect girls. I remember when I was 14, 15, and there was something weird happened where suddenly men sort of saw you as fair game, even though I still felt sort of like a child, but not like a child. And I felt very vulnerable at that age, and I think girls of 15 are very vulnerable. And this is an image where all sorts of people are making money out of this. And yes, she would have posed for that willingly, but a 15-year-old girl perhaps isn't the right person to make that choice.
Yes.
And it should have been her parents on that shoot. I mean, Annie Leibovitz is a very powerful photographer, and would be used to manipulating people into getting the picture she wants. But it was up to somebody, preferably her parents, actually, to say no. She does not take her clothes off at 15.
But also, let's you know, she's a huge star, this Miley Cyrus. She'll have an entourage bigger than this audience with her, and they've all okayed it. So she knew what she was doing.
But they are in a little world of their own, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's the problem here. We're sort of talking about this, and we're judging it by our family, our rules, the way we live.
And the law of the land, as Larry
And of course the law of the land. Of course, you can just see how all this happened, because they're in this bubble of America and celebrity and all these people around and Annie Leibovitz, and it's all very glamorous, and they sort of lose sense of normality and what is right and what is wrong.
Her father is Billy Ray Cyrus, one of the biggest singers of recent times. He is fully aware of fame, the fame game. You'd have to be a complete moron not to.
But they are on a different planet than we are.
But he is there, a man who knows what what fame and publicity is about, and he's her dad, and I think, you know, if I was a father, I would step in. He chose not to. What about the magazine? The magazine must have known what this photo was going to do. They must have, and that is so cynical.
Yeah, but hang on a second.
Come on, they've done their job.
Fashion magazines use 14, 15-year-old girls wearing very little clothes all the time. There's a huge industry in this, exploiting this grey area and using girls who are underage and making them be sexually provocative. And everybody makes money out of it. And we can say, oh, it's absolutely wrong. And I agree with this, that a girl should not be exploited, but the media is doing it and they're making money.
Mind you, as we spoke about yesterday, she wears kind of more provocative or less clothes,
well,
which is actually being the character Hannah Montana.
I don't know Hannah Montana, but I've looked at some stuff this morning. I don't think that's the case. I think she is more clothed. In fact, she's definitely more clothed.
Oh, she's more provocative and stuff. But I've got more problem with the Britney Spears one you showed, of her clutching a kind of a child's toy.
Absolutely.
That's much worse.
I mean, Larry brought out a very important fact.
Britney Spears is 17.
Really,
she's over the age of
the
consent.
fact that I mean, Twiggy started modelling when she was 13.
Yeah.
All the time, young models. You know, we look, all us women, we look at all these adverts for face creams and things and think, oh my God, if I use that, I'm going to get a face like that. It's probably a 15-year-old model who's dressed up with the most perfect skin. And this is what happens all of the time. It's only because this is somebody who is known in this sort of Disney world of Hannah Montana that we're talking about this.
But it is important because she does have young fans.
Yeah.
None of us who have teenage children around, I wouldn't take a picture of my stepdaughters like that and send it into Boots.
No.
And I think that's what it comes down to. I wouldn't. What was Annie playing at?
Okay. Well, let's throw it over to you guys. I'm told, Fina's saying that there's mainly positive, a lot of the calls.
Mainly positive. Anne from North Holt on line 1.
Lovely. Anne, good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. What do you think of the picture?
I'm a mother of 3 and a grandmother of 3 young boys.
Right.
And I must admit, my daughter never, was dressed like that or anything. I mean, I think the photo is done tastefully, but my daughter still got pregnant just after her 16th birthday.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a kind of leave over. I don't understand. So you're saying that a 14-year-old or 15-year-old photographed in an erotic way, as long as that erotic photo is done tastefully, that makes it OK?
No, it's not OK, but when you think, there's children out there now who dress provocatively, you know, worse than what's on that picture.
Yeah.
And also you've got, you know, there is 15...
Well, Anne, have you ever asked yourself why young children are dressing provocatively?
But
could it be that they're role models?
They get the adult magazines, you know, for the ones that are for teenagers. You see the young girls go and buy them. They don't buy any magazines for their own age.
They buy magazines older than themselves, that is true.
Exactly.
But it's not going to be helped, is it, Anne, if one of the biggest role models for pre-teen girls on the planet is courting, dancing on a line of paedophilia. I mean, it is a dodgy, it's a grey area, as Larry very eloquently explained.
It is a grey area, but when you think, the children will choose for themselves, I mean...
Yeah, but Anne, you're missing the point. This is a child's role model. So when we say, look at all these children dressing provocatively, what are they doing? Well, we know why they're doing it, because their role models are doing it for our delectation and pleasure.
But it's like Anne had said, she is full of people around her, so, you know, it was all to them, OK.
Yeah.
You know, so she must have been misguided in a way to do that.
Yeah, maybe.
What I'm saying is, you can't stop young children doing what they want to do.
Yes, you can stop young children doing. That's what parents do, Anne.
But they'll still find a way of doing whatever they want to do.
Well, that may be the case, but this is where...
They would have had the Disney PRs there on the shoot, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
She's a big star.
So, yeah.
So, absolutely right, this was not an accident.
No.
And I think the sad thing also is here you have a young actress and it's making the message very clear that actually what she's got to sell is not her talent, not her humour, not her acting ability. What she's got to sell is her body, and that's really sad.
OK, thanks for the last call, Anne. Don't agree with a word you said, but I appreciate it all the same.
Can I just say...